If a mountain could piss, that would be Mountain Dew. It's going to be a good one. We're talking about Operation Chargeback and what Bretty, that's me, what I did. Sometimes people are fucking idiots. Yeah, I've been in crypto since March 2nd, and I think I've been hit 5 times. Okay, you, sir, are full of shit. No one makes $10,000 a month doing Amazon refunds. They were indeed making $10,000 a month. I'm on Telegram every day. Every day. Most beginning cyber criminals, they do not start their career on the dark web. They start their career on Telegram. And Lord knows, I have spoken time and time again about refunding fraud. And yes, yours truly, this guy, largely responsible for turning the FBI onto that. Anything you want to do for us that might lower that time? Criminals talk. They talk. I'm Brett Johnson, former United States most wanted criminal, now good guy. Guess what? In today's world, criminals come in all shapes and sizes, but they've all got one thing in common. They all have criminal thoughts. On today's episode, guess what? Operation Chargeback and what Bretty did. It's going to be a good one. I promise you fucking that. And we're going to try to cause some chaos, some division, some drama overall over on several of these Telegram groups with this episode. But before we get to that point, let's check in with Brian and see what he's got for us.
MIT has ended the use of diversity statements for faculty hiring, making it the first elite private university to backtrack on the practice that has been roundly criticized as a political litmus test. The decision marks an inflection point in the battle over diversity, equity, and inclusion in higher education. Since at least the late 2010s, diversity statements have been ubiquitous in faculty hiring, sometimes carrying serious weight in the selection process. As one dean at Emory University put it while describing her approach to hiring, diversity statement, then dossier.
Here's the thing. There was a guy not too long ago.
You always say this.
Was
he nailed to a tree, Brett?
No, it's not the tree nailing guy.
Okay.
It's another guy. See, I knew that somebody was going to point that shit out. He always starts out with, there was a guy that they nailed to a fucking tree. That's not the same guy. What I was going to say is there was a guy not too long ago that said that people should not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And yeah, they shot that guy. This diversity statement stuff. So here's the thing. I am an equal opportunity hater. It's not that I hate a certain group. I hate every group. Just saying, it's nice to be equal across the board. Inclusion statements, diversity statements, things like that. I think that everyone should be treated equally. Everyone should be respected equally. Everyone should be able to do the things that they're wanting to do as long as it doesn't fuck with somebody else. This idea of diversity statements, inclusion statements, things like that in higher education, I've got a huge problem with that, because if you're weighing that more than you're weighing the qualifications of the person that you're bringing in or allowing into your school or hiring as a professor or what have you, you're not taking the best candidate. All right? I don't care if the best candidate is LGBTQ ? What have you. I don't care if they're Democrat, Republican. I don't care about the color of their skin. What I care about is how well they do that job. I care about their knowledge base. That's what I care about. For MIT to finally get off of their fucking ass and get rid of these diversity statements. Hey, here in the South, especially the SEC, we ain't got a whole lot of problems with diversity statements because we ain't very diverse. So it's good. It's good that we see some of these higher education facilities, like MIT, that are saying, you know what? Enough of this shit is enough. We're going to get rid of that. We're going to hire people based on how well they know the material, how well they do their job, and their expertise in that specific field. That's what we at MIT are going to do. And yes, you may not have known that, but that's exactly how they talk at MIT, because I have actually spoken at MIT before. That's right. They're always backwoods no matter where the hell they are. Now, Brian, let's go on to that next story.
More than 90% of stablecoin transaction volumes are not coming from genuine users, according to a new metric co-developed by Visa, suggesting such crypto tokens may be far away from becoming a commonly used means of payment. The dashboard from Visa and Allium Labs is designed to strip out transactions initiated by bots and large-scale traders to isolate those made by real people. Out of about 2.2 trillion in total transactions in April, just 149 billion originated from organic payments activity.
Here's the thing. So bot traffic on the internet as a whole is around, some estimates have it up to 60%. Okay. On a specific website, bot traffic can be 90%. You go to Amazon, you go to a merchant's website, it can be up to 90% is bot traffic there. All bots are not malicious bots. Okay, there's a lot of bots there across the board that do a lot of good for our user experience, our interfaces online. Talking about stablecoins. So a stablecoin is a type of cryptocurrency that is pegged typically to the US dollar on a one-to-one basis. So 1 USDC equals 1 US dollar, or 1 Tether equals 1 US dollar. Supposedly, these stable tokens have, especially with Tether, they claim that they have a 1-to-1 ratio with the US dollar. At least that was the claim when it started out. As time has went on, we have found out over and over and over a fucking again that these stable tokens absolutely do not have 1-to-1 liquidity with the US dollar. Okay, so that's very important to understand. Now, this news story about, hey, 90% of the stablecoin traffic isn't coming from human beings. It's not legitimate traffic. It's bot-driven traffic. Now, why, pray tell, would these stablecoins be faking volume with bots on their tokens? And the answer is just for that, to get the volume numbers up, to increase the overall liquidity in the token, to make it look like that token is really doing some really good shit. Now, here's the thing. I use stable coins. Most people who are in crypto use stable tokens as well, because so the chain that I'm mostly in right now is the Solana chain. If I buy a token, I've purchased the fuck Biden token. Why? Well, why the fuck not? Fuck you, Mr. Biden. As a matter of fact, let me go on a riff here for just a second. As a matter of fact, I tweeted out yesterday because I really want to know this answer. I tweeted out, would it be illegal if I had a bag of dog shit sent to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue? No one could really answer that because it's not like I would go out and pick up the dog turds and throw in a bag and send out. There are services out there that will do that. Shitsenders.com. They'll do that for you. If that's not a domain, by God, it will be when I get through recording the show.
I'm not going to pull it up, but it is.
It is. Well, that's a goddamn shame. Anyway, talking about these stable tokens. If I'm buying into hee or fuck Biden or pop pig or whatever that is, and the market itself when I buy is going up, all right, but I sense or the market starts to dump heavily. What do I do with that profit that I've made from that token that I've bought into, if I see that that token is starting to drop substantially, well, what I can do is I can have it swapped over into one of these stable tokens like USDC, Tether, USDT, something like that. Okay. So I can have it swapped into that. And that means that that price remains stable. I'm not gaining any money, but I'm not losing any money at the same time. Okay. So that's the importance of a stable token. The idea that people are going to use stable coins to shop at Walmart or Microsoft or the Apple Store or some bullshit like that is exactly that. It's bullshit. Okay. This idea that people have that crypto is going to revolutionize the world, that people are going to use crypto to pay for everything. No, I truly do not believe that. I don't. If you look at the crypto segment today, what it's all about is people buying a token, hoping that that token increases in value, and then they take that increase in value and they convert it back to US dollars so they can go out and buy shit. It's not about saving crypto and using crypto to buy shit. No, that's not what this game's about anymore. It's not been that way for years, okay? I'm going to have a guy on talking about Tether because there's a lot of suspicious activity, especially around Tether. Tether probably it started out as a scam, but the people who started Tether up, they figured out, hey, we can actually make money if we keep this legitimate. And they've made a lot of fucking money over the years. So we're going to talk more about stablecoins coming up, but just be advised that a lot of the stories that you see about crypto, especially where it's got this line in there about being used for everyday purchases, is not going to happen anytime soon. Anyway, it's not going to happen. The fake traffic is endemic across the entire crypto sphere. All right, especially you see like the Binance tokens that come out, you'll see a lot of bots that are used to drive up the transactions, the volume, things like that. You see that across the board, bots being used. It's not surprising that we'd see that with stable coins either.
A recent paper by cybersecurity-focused firm Akamai has found that queries to suspicious domains impersonating the U.S. Postal Service accounted for nearly as much internet traffic as those to the actual USPS in a 4-month span between 2023 and 24. The firm's conservative criteria for avoiding false positives, meanwhile, might mean that traffic to phishing sites was actually far greater than to the actual Postal Service.
But you know what? The USPS, they ain't got shit on us. We'll fish you some bitches out. We can do a hell of a lot more than USPS. We always know. You always know. Everybody always knows that the government does not do things properly at all. You want things done properly, what you need to do is go over to Telegram and sign on to one of these phishing schemes. We'll create a site that looks just like the USPS. We'll send you some sort of message. Maybe it's a shipping thing that's going to arrive, but it's been lost. We need you to contact us. Maybe you need to pay some fees someplace. We need you to contact us. Maybe you just need to fill out some shit and give me your passwords. We need you to contact us. It's not surprising. Excuse me as I choke myself to death. So today I'm drinking Mountain Dew. That's what we in the mountains drink, is the Mountain Dew. It's the dew from the mountains. Now, this is zero sugar, which is very good because before we got zero sugar in, you'd drink enough Mountain Dew and your teeth would start to rot out. You'd look like a meth head. Thankfully, we've got zero sugar these days, and I'm enjoying the caffeine content.
Clark, that's the gift that keeps on giving.
That is the gift that keeps on giving. I forgot what the hell I was talking about. Oh, the USPS phishing shit.
Yeah.
Look, why would I, and I say this in my presentations, why would I potentially spend years trying to brute force my way past an industrial proof firewall if I can just send an email to someone sitting behind that firewall? That gives me the exact same access, saves me time, effort, and money. You probably ask the good old people at the USPS, how successful is phishing? Well, if it's spear phishing, it's about 87% effective. If I'm looking at targeting you specifically, it's about 87%. And I don't care how much cybersecurity awareness training you've got. I don't care how rich, how poor, how educated, how uneducated you are. It's still about 87% effective. Why is that? And why is it that 92% of every single breach begins with a phishing attack? Well, there is no patch for human stupidity. That's what I say. Now, is that true? Nah. Okay. I promised myself I was going to start being more honest and not pull as many punches. All right. So let's agree, and I may upset some people by saying this, but let's agree that sometimes people are fucking idiots.
No.
All right. They are. And sometimes I'm a fucking idiot. Sometimes I have like an intermittent Down syndrome that pops in every now and then. What's important to realize is that the reason that breaches and attacks happen, the reason people are victimized in an online environment is not because you're dealing with experts. It's not because you're dealing with computer geniuses that are hackers that are able to break into anything. It's not. It's because 90% plus of every single attack uses known exploits. It's not the stuff we don't know about. It's the stuff we do know about, that we've been told about potentially for years, that we're not doing fuck shit about. That creates that threat landscape that's out there. Phishing is really the number one attack vector. That's a type of social engineering scheme. And social engineering is really, if you ask me, the former godfather of cybercrime. Social engineering schemes are the most important part of successful cybercrime. If you're not a good social engineer, you are not going to succeed into getting people to give you information, access, data, or cash. Okay, so just understand that these types of phishing schemes that are out there, they're very effective. They don't look like they're malicious to start out with. They look very innocuous. They look, you get a text message that says, we're having trouble delivering an item to you. That's a form of phishing. You'll get maybe an email for something that you may have bought or may not have purchased, saying that you need to pay the tariff or the taxes on this item before it can be delivered. There's tons of different types of USPS scams that are out there. They'll get you to try to pay them. They'll try to get personal information from you, your login credentials, something like that. So it's important to realize first that anyone can be had. Anyone. Shit, I've been in crypto since March 2nd, and I think I've been hit 5 times. Is it worth it? Well, right now it is, but it's a fucking headache at the same time. But the point is that it's the way I end this show every time. Stay safe, stay secure, stay vigilant. All right, that vigilance matters. You have to understand that in any environment, there are predators in that environment. They may not be targeting you specifically at that point, but there are predators there. If you raise your little head up in the water and you look like an easy prey for one of those predators, yeah, they'll come and get your ass. So it's important with these phishing schemes that you're aware that they exist and that you always exercise caution throughout. And that is the news stories of the day. All right, on today's main episode, we're talking about Operation Chargeback and what Brady, that's me, what I did. Because I have to take some credit where credit is due. So Operation Chargeback, before we get into that, let's talk about a couple of the dynamics of cybercrime. The first is Telegram. Telegram is the Wild West of cybercrime. Most beginning cybercriminals, they do not start their career on the dark web. They start their career on Telegram. Why is that? Well, it's this thing called friction. So the traditional dark web, if you're looking to access the dark web, you have to download Tor. You have to configure Tor properly. You have to know where the hell you're going because there's no search engine. When you're going there, you have to be aware of what's going on. You have to have PGP keys usually configured. There's a whole host of hoops you have to jump through if you're going to visit the dark web in a proper, safe, and secure manner so that you're not identified by law enforcement and so that other criminals don't scam your ass. Because of that, Telegram has kind of taken over because Telegram is a very low friction type of environment. It's a phone app. You can run it on a desktop browser. It's encrypted end to end, and it's owned by a Russian who does not answer any request for law enforcement whatsoever. So criminals tend to be fairly safe. In fact, it tends to be the only way that you can be identified on Telegram is if you are currently suffering or have been suffering from FIS, fucking idiot
syndrome.
Fucking idiot syndrome. And let me tell you, there are a lot of people who suffer from fucking idiot syndrome on Telegram. Now, that's the first point. The second point is looking at people who begin their careers in cybercrime as criminals. It used to be that those individuals, they would typically buy stolen credit card details, and then they would try to steal laptops, cell phones, something like that. And most of them would fail miserably because that requires a degree of skill. Well, that doesn't really happen anymore. Yes, you still have people that use stolen credit card details, and it's still wildly popular, and it's still wildly profitable. But again, it requires a degree of skill. What most beginning cyber criminals are doing these days is they do refunding fraud. And Lord knows, I have spoken time and time again about refunding fraud. So refunding fraud begins around 2013. We saw it on Evolution Marketplace, Evolution forums, and people were coming in, and I know you guys have probably heard this shit before, but people were coming into the environment, into those forums, and they were saying, hey, I'm making $10,000 a month doing Amazon refunds. And everyone else said, you, sir, are full of shit. No one makes $10,000 a month doing Amazon refunds. But
I haven't heard that one yet.
I know. I've got a whole host of little characters I can pull out. So turns out, no, they were not full of shit. They were indeed making $10,000 a month doing Amazon refunds. And the way it worked, you would sign up for a Prime free trial. You would use your card, your name, your address. You would order typically a MacBook Pro. Amazon would ship it out. It would arrive 2 days later. They would leave it on your doorstep. You'd get on the phone or you get on a chat session with Amazon. Hey, I didn't get that. Amazon would ship you another. It would arrive 2 days later. They would leave it on your fucking doorstep. You'd get back on the phone or back on the chat session. Yeah, I don't know how to say this, but I didn't get that one either. Amazon would give you your fucking money back. That's where it started. Since that point, Amazon, or refunding in general, has taken over as really one of the driving forces of cybercrime. Most criminals these days begin their careers as refunders because they immediately start profiting, and while they're profiting, they can learn other attack methods. Okay, so that's redefined things. What's interesting is, first of all, I love the FBI. I think they are outstanding. They absolutely have changed my life. They helped me turn my life around. They've given me support through the years. They continue to believe in me, and I think they're an outstanding organization. This was back, I'm going to say it's 2021. 2021, there was a gentleman by the name of Noir, and he was on Telegram, and he was running a refunding channel. So on Telegram, you can, if you sign up for a Telegram account, you can create a channel immediately, all right? And people can subscribe to that channel, and that channel can have any number of things on there. A lot of the services that are being ran are refunding services because some people are not confident at being social engineers. So they'll hire somebody, usually they'll pay them, 15 to 25% of whatever the order total is, to process that refund for them so they can get their money back, okay? They would prefer to pay somebody that percentage of the order and know that they're going to be successful in that crime than they are in trying it themselves. So Noir was running, that was his screen name, he was running one of these refunding channels. And at the time, his channel was the most profitable, most successful, trending refund channel on all of Telegram. He got to the point where he was offering classes to people. So for $3,000, you could pay Noir and he would teach you how to do refunding so that you could go off and start your own Telegram refunding channel and start making money like that. And it was wildly successful as well. So here's the thing. I'm on Telegram every day, every fucking day. I'm usually there under my real name. Okay, Brett Johnson or Gollum Fun is what I'm usually there under. So Noir knew well who I was. He knew my history and everything else, and we would talk frequently. There was another gentleman who he's still on Telegram today. He goes by the screen name of Radiant. He's got a couple of investment groups. As a matter of fact, I visit his investment group every day just to see what the criminals are doing there. Criminals? I said yes, because that group is all about how criminals can use their ill-gotten, quote-unquote, stolen funds to invest in crypto or the stock market in order to make even more money. Yes, you have people that think like that these days. I mean, back then I was there most every day under my name. I'm there every single day, usually under my name. But I would have talks with Radiant and Noir, and we had a meeting once upon a time. And during this meeting, I was like, hey guys, you really need to consider giving up the ghost on this. I mean, you've done well. You've obviously made a lot of money. The best thing you could do is stop your bullshit, get a legal job someplace, and that way you're okay. You're not going to have to worry about going to jail. You can just give it up right now, walk away, and no one's going to worry about it. And both of those individuals gave me the response that most of those types of individuals usually give me. And that response is, why would I do that? Why would I go to school or get a certificate or something like that when I'm already making this amount of money doing this? My response was, okay. A few weeks later, I had a meeting with some FBI officials. And during that meeting, I was like, you guys really need to look at these refunders that are on Telegram. And specifically what I said is, you guys really need to look at this Noir guy. They had this meeting with the FBI. I told them about Noir. So they started to look at Noir. So anyone who has been watching me or listening to me for any length of time whatsoever, you know that I have been very good about talking about the criminals, especially that are on Telegram, and how their operational security is not the best. In fact, it sucks. So operational security, that is what a criminal needs to do to make sure that they are not identified either by the victim that they are trying to victimize or by law enforcement that is intent on putting these criminals behind bars. So it becomes very important to practice good operational security. Telegram out of the box is, as I said, it's encrypted end-to-end. It does not answer any subpoena request. So it tends to be very good in that aspect. The problem is, and we've had this problem since I began with Counterfeit Library and Shadow Crew. Since the genesis of financial cybercrime, we've had this issue. English-speaking cyber criminals talk too fucking much, especially if they're on Telegram. So these people who were identified during this investigation, they were identified typically because they shared way too much information online. On Telegram, they would post pictures of the stolen credit cards that they were using. They would post snapshots of the orders that they were refunding with the order number attached. They would do all kinds of, they were doxing each other. They would plan meetings with each other. There were all kinds of problems throughout Telegram, and that remains the way it is on Telegram. Criminals talk way too much. You can go over to AIO Crime. You can see these people blabbing all day long. You can go over to Shark Tank, where it's Shark Tank. They're almost all fucking idiots over on Shark Tank. All right, they talk way too much, and that tends to be the way that law enforcement catches a lot of these criminals. Once those criminals are caught, here's the other secret, and you guys should know this if you've been listening to me for any length of time. Criminals talk. They talk. Me, I sing like a fucking bird, and I'm still willing to sing today. If you look at a guy and you tell that guy, and in feds, if you're going to federal prison, you're going to serve 87.11% of whatever they sentence you to. Okay, that's what you're going to serve. Cops got him in the interrogation room. He says, well, you know what? We got you. Yeah, I know you got me. You know what we're going to do to you? We're going to charge you with conspiracy. We're going to charge you with unauthorized access device fraud. We're going to charge you with aggravated identity theft. We're going to charge you, how many merchants did you hit? Oh, you hit that many, did you? We're going to charge you for every one of them victims too. You looking at 10 years in federal prison, which means they would serve over 8.5 years. You tell somebody that, and then you look at them, the cop looks at him and says, anything you want to do for us that might lower that time? When the cop says that, you get some fucknut kid, and I was the same. You get some fucknut kid up there, he's going to tell them every single fucking thing that he possibly can. All right, so those initial arrests on Telegram, those people talked. The end result was over 300 arrests. The investigation got so big, it started out of one field office, moved to a second field office, and then when they started to understand how big refunding was across the board, it became agency-wide. And yes, yours truly, this guy, largely responsible for turning the FBI onto that. It goes a little bit further than that. I have talked time and time again about the importance of trust in an online environment. As legitimate people, as law-abiding citizens, the reason that we shop on Amazon is we trust Amazon to ship us the items that we're buying. If we're buying something on eBay, we trust that eBay will deliver that good, not some counterfeit good. Although in both situations, sometimes fraud happens. All right. But we trust those platforms that we use. It's really no different on the criminal side of things. For cybercrime to succeed, 3 things have to take place. You have to gather data. That's the stolen PII, that's the credentials, that's any tool that you may need to launch the attack, which is the second aspect of cybercrime, committing the crime. And then finally, cashing that crime out. That is not always cash. That's information, access, data, or cash, okay? So, in order for a criminal to be successful, those 3 necessities have to be met: gathering data, committing crime, cashing out. A single attacker cannot do all 3 things. He can do 1, sometimes 2, but rarely all 3. Typically, that attacker lets the marketplace fulfill that first necessity of gathering the data, gathering the tools. Then he goes off to commit the crime. Depending on geographic location, he may need to use money mules to help cash out for that third aspect or that third necessity of cybercrime. So you have to network with other criminals who are good in those areas where you are not. To do that, you have to be able to trust your criminal peers. That becomes extremely important. And that's what I talk about frequently. That was the main accomplishment, if you want to call it that, of Shadow Crew, of instituting that trust mechanism into cybercrime. It's what really drives the growth of cybercrime over the years, to the point today that cybercrime, if it were a country, it would have the 3rd largest economy on the planet. So you have to be able to trust your criminal peers. I have been adamant since I ripped off the United States Secret Service way back in 2005, 2006, I have been adamant about the idea of poisoning the well of cybercrime environments, about how successful that could be. If you can get a platform, if you can get like a Telegram channel to the point where the users, the criminal users on that channel, they do not know who to trust, who to believe, who to buy from, anything else like that. They're scared to death of law enforcement. They don't know who's a cop, who's not. If you can get that channel to that point, no one is going to use that channel. That channel will die. So if you can do that in segment-wide across the entire cybercrime landscape, at that point, you're doing a lot of damage to the attacks that are going on, because again, criminals have to network together and those criminals have to trust each other in order to successfully do that. The reason I say that is what that actually means is you have to build this thing called a legend and an online profile that you can go in, gain access to these groups. Once you gain access to these groups, then you start talking, chattering. Not only that, but you start to bring in other legends as well. You vouch for them, you grow them, you age them out. And those other legends typically are law enforcement or security professionals. Somebody that's looking to stop cybercrime. Somebody that's looking to put these sumbitches in jail for a while. My legend throughout the entire refunding Operation Chargeback story, my legend went by the screen name of Night Ranger. All right. And that's the past couple of 3 weeks, I've been doing stuff under the Night Ranger name that's been attached to my name. But I mean, legal stuff, crypto stuff. But what's interesting is that Night Ranger name gained access to several hundred criminal Telegram channels. Not only did that Night Ranger name gain access to those channels, but that Night Ranger name also allowed different law enforcement agencies to come in, gain access to those Telegram environments as well. And once those names came in, guess what? Well, those names allowed even more security and law enforcement names to come into those environments as well. So today, and this is that I actually tweeted a couple of days ago that I was going to start raising some drama, causing some drama on Telegram. Today, there are hundreds of different Telegram channels that are out there that are infested with law enforcement. Now, not all of it, but a large part of that is due to the work that I was able to set up and do with the FBI. Now, I am not a cop. I don't arrest people. I don't intend to arrest people. I don't like the idea of that, but I definitely dislike the idea of people being victimized even more. And I've tried time and time again to have a rational conversation with many of these Telegram criminals of, hey, you need to stop your bullshit. You're bright, you're very effective. You could absolutely stop this and choose to go into something legal that would help people and give up that ghost. And I have been told in very nice terms, but still told, to get fucked at the end of the day. Well, when you tell me that, it's not like I forget that. It's not like that, I look at it as I've tried to have that conversation with you. And so now we're going to make sure the FBI has something for your ass. And that's what's going on. So 300 people worldwide was arrested. There was even one guy that, so Morocco, I didn't know this, but Morocco they won't extradite. One of the criminals was in Morocco. So I know the FBI traveled over there to arrest the guy, or not to arrest the guy, but they traveled over there to meet with the Moroccan government. Because again, they can't arrest the guy over there. The Moroccan government did not turn the guy over to U.S. feds, but the Moroccan government did arrest this individual. Got to be honest with you, I'm not sure how bad a Moroccan jail is, but I know I would not want to serve any time there. 300 people is what's been arrested. The last I heard, Noir had not yet been identified, but I'm confident that he will be. You read the headlines about Operation Chargeback or about any type of refunding arrests over the past year. I was responsible for turning the FBI onto that. There's a gentleman by the name of Matthew Bergwall that was arrested. College kid. I think he was going to Stanford or some shit like that. He was arrested for refunding fraud as well. Now, the question with someone like Matthew is, and I've said this before, so it should not come as a surprise, Matthew's looking at some time. FBI, his handler looks at him and says, "What can you do for us?" And Matthew, being a college kid that did not come from a bad background at all or a poor background, he's wanting to do something successful with his life. What does he say? "I'll help you any fucking way I possibly can." Is Matthew talking? More than likely Matthew is. And I say that because this fucking idiot, or whoever his handlers are, they a lot of the time, the unfortunate thing is that in the United States, we've got 37,000 plus FBI agents spread across 56 field offices. Of those 37,000 agents, only about 280 of them are concentrated on cybercrime. So unfortunately, when you've got a case that, an investigation that is agency-wide this big like that, sometimes you'll get people that don't understand cyber criminals, the attacks, or anything else that's going on. So with Matthew, more than likely he is talking. And I say that because this fucking idiot has a GitHub page. And on this fucking idiot's GitHub page, he's got code there for a Telegram scraper. It gets even worse than that. Not only is the code there for the Telegram scraper, so a scraper harvests data from these Telegram channels. So not only is that scraper there, but a list of every single criminal Telegram group that he's scraping data from is there as well. And there are hundreds. There's no reason for that to exist unless Matthew were working with the feds. That's one of the reasons I gave last week. I gave an interview with New York Magazine, and they were talking about Bergwall, and they asked me if I thought that he was cooperating. And my answer was, well, unless he's truly still a fucking idiot, he is absolutely cooperating. And it tends to suggest that he is. He's being allowed a lot more freedom than some of these other criminals are, things like that. People talk at the end of the day. Operation Chargeback, 300 arrests. I wanted to come out and say, hey, yeah, I helped with that. Not only that, but if you guys want to look at how you can be successful in these things, you can look at that Night Ranger moniker. Someone who comes in now, and the way that we gained access to that is I actually paid to take the Noir classes, paid Noir $3,000. That allowed me entry into that group. Once you get entry into that group, I've paid $3,000. That trust comes with that entry. I mean, what kind of cop is going to pay $3,000 to a criminal to take classes? No one's going to do that. Well, yeah, they do. So that gained trust into that. That trust from that point allowed me to start harvesting data, building legends, bringing other people into other Telegram groups as well. That's how you disrupt cybercrime environments. You cannot arrest everyone at the end of the day. There's 300 people that's been arrested. Do you have any idea how many people could have been arrested? Because those 300 that were arrested were the higher-ups and the main customers of those refunding channels. Those little guys that were out there, and we're talking hundreds, thousands of those, yes, those people were identified as well. But the problem is, so take the Northern District of California. That's up around, Humboldt County, things like that. So if that district were to arrest, say, just 200 cyber criminals that were doing refunding fraud, just 200, if they did that and then all 200 of them said, hey, I'm not taking your fucking plea agreement, I'm taking it to trial. So all 200 say, we're taking it to trial. Logistically, you can't prosecute that many people. You can't have trials for that many people. There's just not the ability to do that. And because of that, you have to pick and choose who you're prosecuting. So the 300 people that were arrested, those people that are being prosecuted are the upper tier people, the largest customers of those groups, and hopefully that sends a message to every single person that's using those refunding groups and some of these other platforms, whether it be travel, fraud, or what have you. It sends a message to them saying, hey, you are not safe. And that should be the message of the day because, especially on Telegram, the way that trust is developed on Telegram is different than the way it's developed on the dark web. On the dark web, the trust mechanism that I built begins with a large communication channel, forum type structure, where you can share, exchange information. You can keep a history of your conversations. You use a screen name that becomes your brand. This is on the dark web. Your screen name becomes your brand, and it's persistent across different platforms on the dark web. Vouching systems, review systems, escrow systems in place, all with the idea of establishing trust. And that creates a very persistent, concrete form of trust. Telegram's different. Telegram, trust is built through the rapport of the members that are there. If I bullshit with you enough, if I talk with you enough, you are going to trust me. That's a problem because that type of trust is very fluid. It's very flimsy, and it makes it very easy for someone like me or law enforcement to come in, gain access, build trust, and start to identify criminals that are there and to poison that entire well of criminals that are on Telegram. It's a very short episode today, But that's exactly what happened with Operation Chargeback. For any criminals, and I know I have criminals that listen to my shows, for any criminals that are out there that are listening to this, Telegram is not the be-all, end-all of cybercrime. There are things that are very detrimental about Telegram. First of all, it's the chatter that's there. Your criminal peers that are on Telegram are sharing way too much information. You are probably sharing way too much information. And I say that with confidence because I also know that you are not about to stop that. You're not. You're going to keep on talking, and it's not going to stop. You're probably going to continue to post snapshots and everything else. What you don't understand is that, yes, while there are millions of cyber criminals out there, it's actually a very small community. You would be extremely surprised to find out what just the lowest people who they're connected to. And once law enforcement arrests one of these people or just simply goes to talk to them, they tell everything that they know. And from that, they find other targets or other people to interview. And before long, they identify you, come and pick you up, take all the money that you've stolen, throw you in prison for a few years. You get out, you can't get a job, you can't get an education. Sometimes you can't get a place to rent, anything else like that. And that begins your career as a felon at that point. I would urge you to rethink your ways. I would. I know I did a podcast a few weeks ago for Jake Newfield, and we were talking about disenfranchised people. And certainly we have that in criminal communities. We have demographics of individuals who maybe they come from very poor neighborhoods. Maybe their background is not good. Maybe they feel that they don't have the ability to succeed or get ahead in life. They've got cognitive dissonance with that. So they think that the only way that they can get a leg up is by committing some sort of fraud, refunding fraud, crypto fraud, what have you. I know there are disenfranchised people. I know that. But you cannot live your life profiting by victimizing other people. You can't do that. That's not the way things are supposed to go. That's not why we are here on this planet. All right? We're here to help people, not hurt people. You got to remember that. So, yes, you have those disenfranchised people, but you've also got people like Noir, like Matthew Bergwall, like Radiant, like other people across those platforms as well. And there's a lot of those. Lord knows of those 300 that were arrested, there's a lot of people that they were not disenfranchised. They were not poor. They came from very good neighborhoods, and they were going to very expensive schools, Berkeley, Stanford, Yale, places like that were involved in these types of frauds. I would urge people out there, if you're committing some sort of fraud, understand that it's not just the merchant that you're stealing from. It's not just the victim and the government that you're stealing from. It's not just the financial institutions that you're stealing from. Those losses get passed down to everyone. All right? Everyone across the board. You're victimizing everyone, and it has consequences. It causes damage to everyone. So please reconsider that. If you don't, let me inform you, they got a fucking place for you. We absolutely have moved Criminal Insight over to the end segment. And why have we done that? Well, I was told that some of my shows are running a little long before I get to the main meat. And yes, I do like to talk. And yes, I do like to hear the sound of my own voice sometimes. That being said, kind of makes sense to move Criminal Insight to the end. That way we can talk about the main segment, and then we can comment on the main segment in kind of a short form. So today's Criminal Insight comes into that idea of trust. All right. If you cannot trust your criminal peers, then you're on your own. Being on your own in an online environment, an online criminal environment, can be a very scary prospect because you don't know what's real, what's not real. You don't know what's happening behind the scenes. You need those criminal peers that you can rely on. All right. So trust matters at the end of the day. If you cannot trust your criminal peers, you are not going to be a successful online criminal. And it translates to more than just being online. There's a reason that the mafia has their structure, and it's to establish trust with everyone so that you got things that are segmented, compartmentalized. You got vouching that goes on. You got all these things that happen in a mafia-esque type of environment that establishes trust. Trust matters, and that is the criminal insight for the day. So with that being said, we're going to close things out. We're going to close it out the same way we do every single time. Stay safe out there. Stay secure and stay vigilant. More importantly, at the end of the day, and this is talking to all you criminals out there on Telegram, on the dark web, I'll put on that same hat with you. I'm a criminal. I choose not to break the law anymore. At the end of the day, just do the right damn thing. You'll be a hell of a lot happier when all the chips are counted. My name is Brett Johnson. I want to thank you guys so much for taking the time to listen. Until next time.